episode is brought to you by the future. Oatly had experts look into the future, which is totally possible, by the way, and then report back about what things will taste like when we get there. Learn about bold ideas, the dawn of decaf, and the rise of fibre in the Future of Taste report on Oatly.com. All right, welcome back to the coffee show. Coming out of proud Mary in Austin, Texas, United States of America, joined by the Barista Champion of the United States of America.
Fuck yeah.
Coming
I was going to
again.
say, editing out sweating.
No, we swear a little.
Yeah, sweet.
Welcome to the coffee show, Jak Michael Ryan.
Thanks for having me.
What's it been like for you? 1 week, I think it's 1 week almost to the day. Since, it hasn't been.
It hasn't even been a week yet.
Friday, US time. What's the last week been like?
Absolute pandemonium.
Bring Mike a little bit there,
Yeah, absolute pandemonium. Obviously a very unexpected outcome. Caught completely by surprise, and I mean, a lot can change in 5 seconds. So now I'm stuck preparing for the World Championships, which is not something that I thought was on the cards. And essentially my entire life now goes on pause and becomes about trying to do as well as I can at the World Barista Championships in Panama in October.
It was interesting watching you up there because you're quite an eccentric figure, and throughout this podcast we'll elaborate on how that is both inside and outside of coffee, but you were very out there with your routine, and like when watching you, I think you're the type of person that doesn't really get nervous. Like when you're up there, you look far more comfortable than other people that go up there, because as someone that's having competed myself, I actually choke when those big lights are on, and you spend as much time preparing for the moment, but when the moment comes, it's totally different. But you excel in it. Why do you think that is?
Well, thank you. It's quite complimentary. I've been a competitor my whole life. I've been a performer my whole life. I honestly tell people I'm not actually competitive. I really enjoy performing. But the things that I do outside of coffee, being a professional dancer, now being a boxer, excuse the eye, I think I've always operated in what I would consider to be relatively high pressure, high stress situations. And I think I've always approached barista competition with a very similar training regimen and a very similar approach to how I would approach my dancing, my boxing, or anything it is that I've taken seriously. So when I'm on stage, it's actually more about being reactive than proactive, reacting to the crowd, the audience, the coffee itself, the grinders, the machinery, the clock, which is the most terrifying thing in the world when you're up there. And I think I've just spent that much time in my life doing things that in that moment I consider to be a little more high pressure. Like I walk out there on Sunday and was like, well, no one's trying to punch me in the face, so this is going to be pretty fun.
It's a step down from that.
Yeah, it's definitely less violent.
Yeah. But it's been interesting for me. Obviously we've known each other for a number of years, both worked together in Melbourne indirectly when we both worked for St. Ali.
That's it.
You've been kind enough to let me stay at your house.
Let's go.
Since I've been in Austin. And I think it's been a really good, actually, it's very fortunate that I've been able to do that and interview you, because I'm getting a pretty good insight into your life and who you are. Like,
terrifying.
Well, you're obviously, I don't know how you cram as much into one day as you do, because you're, like you said, you dance professionally and you do that near daily, like you're teaching classes and, practicing and whatnot. And then you're a boxer and you love boxing and you're constantly sparring and you're at the gym. And then at home last night, watching you prepare your food, you're unbelievably healthy. And even just like, we were just at a barbecue restaurant, went after work, and you didn't eat anything.
Yeah.
And you're really regimented with your food and your fitness. And I feel like that. And I asked you last night, like, why do you do this? Why do you do this to yourself? And I shit you not, guys. He looked at me with his face. He goes, I really don't know anything else. Like, I just burst out of laughing because it's just you don't know another way. Like, you don't have an off switch. Like, it's crazy.
I answered as honestly I could in the moment, and it hasn't really changed. I just don't know another way. I just go heavily into whatever it is that I care about, and I'm like completely consumed by it. So whether it is boxing, dancing, eating well, drinking coffee, making coffee, weird conspiracy theory documentaries, like, I mean, like, whatever. Yeah, let's go. Yeah,
we all love.
Let's go.
We can get there. We can get there later on. You just became the champion, so let's not take the gloss off.
Let's go with that.
But like, I really respect it. And,
hey, thanks, man.
It's like I know that you've always been a very athletic person, and you and me, whenever we catch up, we love talking about fights.
100%.
And we got the Boots Ennis, Jerome Ennis.
We got fights to watch this weekend.
Same day as tomorrow. So we're both really big fight fans, and you're a fighter.
Yes.
So it's just incredible your competitive nature, and I just again, I just like congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
You've worked so hard in coffee over such a long time, and you could probably do what you other things. It probably costs you more to do coffee, really. Like,
I mean, there is an argument to be made that it does.
Yeah,
100%.
You do this for the love of the game.
I really do, and I always have.
And that's it. So let's go backwards. So you live in America now.
Yes.
You started in coffee when?
A long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
I love it.
I told you I'd get some references
We're getting some Star Wars.
Yeah, 100%. It will be laced with them. My first job was at a kiosk in Doncaster Shopping Centre, Shoppo for the Melbourne locals, and it was called Coffee Hit.
I know the one.
And it's a Veneziano-owned pop-up store. And there's a guy called Alan Chan, who is now the head roaster for Bean Cartel, and another bloke called Josh Lim, who he worked for Code Black for a really long time as well, and they were my two coffee mentors for a long time, and it was really interesting. I was a customer there for years, and I was making coffee at home, just coming in and asking questions. I was just like, oh, how do I make this taste better? How do I do this? And this is like before we knew anything. This was all just like shooting from the hip, the God shot days, just when like the stars aligned and you actually tasted a good espresso.
Yeah.
If anyone remembers those days, they're very real. And I would just come in and ask questions, and those boys one day looked at me and they're like, "You're a dancer." Yeah. "You were a gymnast as a kid." Yeah. "You make music." Yeah. And then Josh said to me, he's like, "So you understand system, discipline, routine, repetition, and structure?" And I was like, yeah. He was like, all right, you start tomorrow. So I went from there, went from that job directly to basically to Axel Coffee Roasters. Spent a lot of time there, learned how to compete. Did my first ever competition under Dave Macon and the illustrious Axel Coffee Roasters team. Probably, in my eyes, produced some of the best competitors, pound for pound. Two world champions,
Dave himself came second.
100%, yeah. So pound for pound, Axel Coffee Roasters, big shout out for just producing the goods and giving me like a really good foundation for that side of the game. But from Axel, went to Sensory Lab St. Ali. From there to Proud Mary. Exited Proud Mary, went back to Sensory Lab St. Ali, did a stint in the United States for 2 years helping Bluestone Lane with their expansion, their education programs, basically trying to make specialty coffee methods at scale work. And then came back to Australia, went back to St. Ali. St. Ali is definitely somewhere I've loved. You and I have obviously worked there before, and we have a lot of friends in the game there, so big shout out to St. Ali. And then got a phone call from Nolan and Lindsay saying like, I think we want to get the band back together. We've got a lot of venues now, well, a lot more than what we're used to, which was just one, and said, we need someone with your militancy, like your eye for detail, your care for the choreography, because having, venues across oceans is not easy to get everyone aligned on the same page. And, after a bit of backing and forthing and me serendipitously winning a green card, I was like, all right, it's time to go home, because Proud's always felt like home. Yeah. So now I'm back.
And this is quite a special place. So just to remind everyone, we're in Proud Mary's Austin site.
You can probably hear the cleaning sounds right now.
There's been going on, but we persevere through everything. But it's such a Proud's just has such a they've emulated the feel of the Melbourne site so well, and coming to the US. Like, it's crazy how much they value the Australian way of making coffee here, among the general population. Like, people are coming here and like they just really admire it, and the reputation is perceived so well over here, and it's permeated so well. And I think you guys have really replicated the in-store experience from Melbourne to here seamlessly, and you've got a really good team. Kendrick's sitting over there; he's the head barista. Does a great job.
He's the man.
Been extremely helpful today. We did a pop-up here today, a bar takeover, where you and I joined forces to serve your USBC coffee, and I served a whole bunch of
bangers from Monogram.
From Monogram. Shout out to Ben Put. Look, it's fantastic. It's very communal, and
thanks,
I think
dude.
You guys have created something super special here in Austin.
Thanks, man. Much appreciated.
It's truly mean it. And like, look at this up here. Like, this is definitely a Nolan Hirth bar.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I'm going to be blunt. It's not built for speed. It's built for but the feel of it, like these custom Sinessos where he's obviously pulled it out of a machine.
Knowles is a very tactile guy. Like, I think when you look at like what people in coffee do as like their passions outside of coffee. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you realize that I'm a dancer, you're like, okay, cool. Well, you pretty much obviously understand how I'll approach coffee just from knowing that. Nolan wanted to be an artist. Nolan's first love was, I want to be an artist. And then, like sculpting, painting, woodwork, things like that. And it's really kind of evident in how he approaches coffee, because
he's an incredibly creative person.
100%. And like, he obsesses over the detail.
This is Nolan Hirth, the founder of Proud Mary Bell.
The man himself, the Don Brown, as I call him. He, he builds everything by hand. This bar it's wood from Australia, man. Those tables are wood from Perth. Built all these seats. Like, everything is just his hands on it, and it is very personal to him about the tactile of everything, how everything feels. And like, I don't think that gets lost. And you just said it yourself. Like, every bar, you haven't been to our Portland location yet, have you?
Oh, yeah.
It's still very Portland. It's actually kind of darker, longer. There isn't as much direct sunlight as there is here in Austin. It's kind of more moody, but it still feels like Prouds. It just feels like Prouds in winter. You know what I mean? It's like every Prouds to me feels like I've stepped into Nolan's living room. And I'm like about to just like listen to some cool tunes and drink some delicious shit and have a good time. So I think that just doesn't get lost no matter where we go. Because it's really important to us to make sure that what feels like Prouds to us is on display to everyone.
Yeah, and he's done an incredible job, like I said. And thanks again for having me here.
Had a fucking blast.
I had an awesome time and connecting with the community. I think the people of Austin, the people of Texas really, really appreciate specialty coffee.
Oh, dude, it's been bonkers since we opened. And I think, like, not to completely air all of our secrets here, but when we dropped Best of Panama #1 in 2023,
that was the Black Jaguar.
Yeah. When we dropped that, Austin sold out in under 24 hours.
So it's $150 a cup.
$150 a cup here in the States. It had to be $200 in Australia.
Thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah, but we sold out in Austin in under 24 hours. It was packed. There were people here at like 7:01 a.m. to come and get that, and it's cool. It doesn't necessarily mean that Austin itself is like just full of like one demographic or anything along that nature. It's just people here are excited. And when I first moved here, it was in a good way, kind of like going and getting in a time machine and jumping back to the moments where like maybe when we started and just like everything was exciting and new and everything was just like a whole new coffee world of wonder. That's how it's felt being back here, and it's super refreshing.
Have you ever had that like coffee red pill moment sort of thing where you have that one coffie that just opened up the third eye, so to speak?
Dude, 100%. Yeah.
It changed everything. And what was it?
I've had a few. And I could like walk you through them chronologically. But the real ones that stand out to me, inspired by our conversation on the couch last night, is actually a Proud Mary experience before I worked at Proud Mary. Brazil, Cup of Excellence #3, 2015, coffee called Bom Pastor. I mean, like, when I say Brazil, what do you expect?
Well, what do I expect?
Yes.
Well, most people would think, chocolate blend, whatever.
100%.
But I'm well aware that Brazil produces some fire.
Yeah.
And just before I let it get back to you, like, you really have to go to Brazil to experience that as well, because there are coffees on the cupping table there that you just don't see in Australia.
And people struggle to get them out of there.
Well, the thing is that Brazil's got enormous domestic consumption of its own coffee, which is in contrast with most other coffee regions, and so they actually banned the importation of green coffee in Brazil. So you can't import green coffee to Brazil. It's got to be roasted. So it's somewhat protectionist against whatever. But it kind of, one of the flow-on effects is they drink a lot more of their own really good coffees. And some of the best coffees I've ever tasted are on a cupping table in Brazil. And one of the only roasters I've ever known to import the best of the best Brazil is Proud Mary. And I know Nolan
loves Brazil.
Nolan personally spearheads that. Yeah.
Knowles and I talk about it almost monthly, where we're just like, dude, we need a killer Brazil. Like, we both love it. And I mean, you know, if you don't say dark chocolate or you don't say those deep, heavy, rich things that you would expect, you expect yellow. You know what I mean? Like yellow fruits and, you know, like a softer stone fruit acidity or something along those lines. But this was just strawberries and cream. Cough.
Well, I had a...
that was bad.
Get it in there.
I'm going to die. I'm going to die on your podcast.
But I remember clearly going to Proud Mary in Melbourne once and having this mango passion fruit, like pineapple, all in one coffee. It was like, you know, I'll forever be chasing that from Brazilian coffee. It was
Same.
So good.
And I haven't found the same thing since either.
Yeah.
You know, like that one coffee where I was like, I did not know a Brazilian coffee could taste like strawberries and cream. I've been like, where the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Come back.
It's an incredible origin that I think is incredibly slept on for, you know, obviously they sell the world's most coffee and stuff, but I just think, you know, you think of the producers that you mentioned, the region of Monte Chiquira, that Minas Gerais area where you do get the higher elevations and the more complex acidity, and then producers like Deterra as well. And they do unbelievable coffee. I think we sleep on it so much.
Yeah, we need more bangers from Brazil out there in the world, for sure.
They'll come.
Yeah.
If I can recount one of my own anecdotes that we spoke about again last night, like Ben Morrow made me... So one of my light bulb moments in coffee was when Ben Morrow made me a cappuccino at St. Ali in South Melbourne. And it's just like, between people like him and Shinzaku Fukuyama and Leon Holdsworth, like... It just, those guys made me coffee that to this day, like
you still remember it, and like it's hard sometimes to be like, was it that good? Because at the time I didn't know better. You know what I mean? Like if I went back and tasted it now with my lens, would it be the same?
Yeah.
And I think about that a lot too. But I also sometimes just go, fuck it, I don't care, because of how special it was in the moment.
Yeah.
And like another coffee that Ben Morrow makes me think of, just his name in general, was actually my like number 2 life-changing coffee moment. Like you said earlier, like what are those holy shit, didn't know it could taste like this moments. Another 2015 coffee from Panama, Ben Morrow actually competed with it at Coffee Masters. I don't know whether it was London or New York, but he won both. It was Zorro Geisha, 2015 lot. And Proud's had it, and I tasted obviously Proud's version and got to play with it because I started working there by then. And Ben had it, and Ali roasted it as well. So I was getting it from both roasteries, and that coffee still to this day is like that. A geisha that's instead of just being floral is strawberry jam. You know, sugary, jammy, thick, rich. That was one of my like, I want that back. I want that. Every time I roast geisha, and even for my competition coffee, I'm chasing that. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm chasing that richer, heavier, thicker, sugary version of geisha that like lives in my heart, that more raspberry and strawberry. So every time I approach roasting a geisha, that's where I'm going.
Let's talk a bit more about the routine now, and you focus a lot on time.
Time.
Like if you could encapsulate the routine in one word, it was time.
Timing is everything.
So explain a little bit about it. What was your reason, rationale?
Okay. Last year in the 2025 season, I reused a concept that I'd tried before but didn't get to give it my all, which was, I think that like as a dancer, all I'm trying to create for an audience is moments. Like magic moments where they go, oh, whoa, what happened there? Like where you either lose track of time or that moment itself becomes eternal. You know, like you were talking about coffee, where you're like, oh, I've had this and it sticks in me forever. Music does the same thing. Art does the same thing. Coffee does the same thing. So I explored magic moments, and then I realized that they were all made or broken by good or bad timing. And that timing was everything. Coughing again, hang on.
Cough break.
Yeah, now we're good. Roll it back.
We on.
pick back up, used to this. So the timing is everything concept was something that I kind of had in the back pocket last year. I was like, oh, this would be like a really fucking cool idea. And then I kind of forgot about it and didn't think about my next year's season for maybe a couple of months. And then I was teaching dancing one day, and I was kind of being a bit of an asshole. And I was making them dance to a piece of music they'd never heard. And they were trying to do a routine that they'd practiced so many times, but they'd never done it to that song. And I remember trying to explain to them that in order to like dance at all or move people or do anything successfully, you have to understand what timing is. You have to observe timing. And that just means by, hearing a song and clapping along, or noticing that right now outside it's a specific season and specific things are going to happen within that timing. Then you have to cooperate with it. You have to move in harmony with that timing, and that makes the audience or people or nature just feel good. You pick ripe fruit, it's cooperating with timing. And then every now and then you get to manipulate its effects. Like we create freezers that freeze things, that halt timing. We maybe wait longer to deliver a punchline or a sentence or something of that nature. There you go, you saw that, right? So we do things where we can alter the effects of timing, and observing, cooperating, and manipulating time are the three ways that you utilize timing to get good at using it. Mm-hmm. And I thought, okay, well, that's my routine. So I'm just going to build everything around that.
And if you can summarize how you kind of apply that, like the espresso, milk, and signature drink course.
I talked my way through each process of what the coffee did and went through, and I just applied the lens of, okay, well, bare bones logic. Benjamin observed the right time and cooperated by picking ripe cherries. Then the dark room specifically that he dried this coffee in was his first attempt at dark room drying, and it's a shipping container that is humidity and temperature controlled. It's kept at 20 degrees Celsius. Remember that from my script. And, that is a great alteration of time. That is a great way to manipulate timing's effects. So I made a bit of a focus on that. Then, I took the same approach to roasting the coffee. I was just like, all right, well, what does it do? If I just apply a flat, even heat and don't make any adjustments, what does this coffee do specifically without my input? When does it crack if I just blast it? What does it do after that? And then I only made my alterations after cooperating with that. I gave it a high, even heat and then just dropped it when I needed to manipulate it with this desired outcome. Mm-hmm. Then even with milk, I was like, okay, freeze distillation. Do that too quickly, doesn't taste very good. Do that over 10 to 12 hours, tastes really good. Extraction itself is the manipulation of time in order to, fix a desired outcome. So like every layer of coffee essentially fits within that concept. And for Worlds, I will be diving even deeper.
Yeah, what do you think? How do you think you approach it for Worlds? Because, like you said, you kind of weren't expecting to be in this position where you now have to prepare to go to Panama in October, which is 3 or 4 months away. Yeah. And you've got to, you always want to improve when you're leading up to something like this. So, what improvements do you think you can make? To be brutally honest with myself, I roasted the coffee in a big time spiral at 2 a.m. 7 days before the competition, like freaking out. So I know I can do a better job of that. I will be focusing heavy on absolutely nailing the coffee. Obviously, I think that's first and foremost. Every avenue I can chase down on making that coffee taste as best possible, first and foremost what I will do and what every competitor would be doing. But in terms of the routine and the message and the delivery, I think it's just what I said before. It's doubling down on the concept and really diving into where timing affects coffee on levels that we probably haven't tried to explore before, or at least highlight. I said on finals day in my opening spiel that I'm actually not here to reinvent the wheel. I think that sometimes people, like competitors, get up and try and reinvent the wheel, or at least say they're doing so and don't. And I'm just honest. I'm not here to reinvent the wheel. I'm here to acknowledge something that exists, and that if we utilize it, it makes things better. A big part of the routine was the emotional effects of timing also, and how we use good timing to affect customers and our peers. And, I think you being here is pretty good timing. It was good.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
fortuitous.
Totally. So like there is like an emotional and cosmic element to that I also think I will double down on and explore more of too.
What do you think there's watching from afar, I feel like the strength of the competition scene in the US is really rising.
Elite.
And the participation as well. I think in Australia we've had 4. I think we've had a few years where...
Come on, guys, get in there.
Well, we've had, like, we don't even have enough people competing in barista to make up 12 at the Nationals, which the participation's gone down a lot. And I think...
Which is a shame.
Well, there's 2 reasons for it, in my opinion. Like, one would be it's been so top-heavy. You know, you got your Jack Simpsons, Anthony Douglas, Gabriel Tans... And
legends in the game. Legends in the game.
Legends, really strong competitors. Yeah. 2 World Barista Champions among that. And so I think looking up, why do I want to put myself up against that? But I think also like resource constraints in Australian coffee at the moment as well are pretty severe. And it's a significant financial cost for a barista competitor anywhere to compete as well.
Yeah, I mean, the US competition scene right now, this year to me, and like, I think it goes into even more why I'm so shocked that I got the result I got. I went into this competition fully aware that I thought this was the hottest year in terms of caliber that America had in a long time. Yeah. You had 8 previous finalists from the get-go. You also had some people in there who I've seen like heavy hitting scorers on day 1 and day 2. And dark horses who I really thought were going to crack that final. So I was happy with whatever happened. I mean, the level of competition here right now, insanely high.
Yeah.
And they're all really good.
But I feel like the scene in the US in general is picking up. Like, it's roaring to life over here in America, and I think the demand for specialty coffee is growing a lot. And it's pretty evident on this trip here. I've been in Canada and the US for nearly a month, over a month now.
Yeah.
And it's been really good to see, like a scene that's picking up, and the community as well. Like, it's not just like these shops doing well and stuff like that I'm happy for. It's the community that it's harboring. It's pretty special to watch. Yeah,
it's super cool. And like I've said this to anyone who'll listen recently, but competition at the highest level is usually where I find the nicest people. Like, we all know how hard it was to get there. So like, the coolest thing I experienced was I turned up to 2025 regionals on my own. Like, Prouds we were going through it. We were trying to make stuff work. We're not a juggernaut, man. You know this. We may do some cool and crazy shit, but we're not actually a big company. Like, and we're very little Aussie battler in a lot of ways. We kind of, we do stuff. Like, I was production roasting a week before the comp. We got gaps to fill. We got people to help out. Like, everyone does everything and everyone pulls together to help each other out. But that also means that, like, if I got to go and do originals, I'm probably going to do it on my own because I can't pull resources away from the business. So I turned up at regionals on my own in 2025. I've never done a regional qualifiers in America, and it was different to what we did in Australia, because in Australia until a few years ago it was WCC rules from round 1. Like, you're doing your 15-minute routine, you're doing your sig bev, you're doing, like, it's full world scoring from day 1, and that's probably why Australia does produce an incredible top tier of competitors. Do you know what I mean? Like, our top 3, our top 4, our top 6 in general are all world class because the standards are so rigorous from the beginning, and I think that's like worth stating for sure. But I turned up at this regionals and I was on my own, and Kyle Ramage from Black and White Coffee Roasters sat at my table in the morning and helped me talk about tasting notes and like what he was tasting, and this was the first time we'd been face to face. Jason Euro from St. Frank, who I was competing against, I was already friends with Jason. He was like, hey man, like, who's here to help you? I'm like, I'm just doing it. And he like helped me polish cups. You know what I mean? Like, the guys from Onyx, Dakota and Raf at the time who was with Onyx, like, they were, like, I had a cup break backstage and everyone was willing to lend a hand and help out, and no one was against each other.
Yeah.
And that's really cool here. Like, everyone's got each other's back here in a way that even me as the foreigner, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
oh shit, like.
But just on that, like to qualify to compete in another country, you need to have lived here for at least 2 years, I believe it is. So obviously you meet that criteria. You've been here for like 4 or 5.
Yeah, I had lived here by about 3 years before I competed.
Yeah, and then so that is why you're an Australian who won the United States Barista Championship.
Yeah.
But just to circle back to some of the competitors again, like there was some people that like Elika.
Elika's a legend.
And we luckily saw him today. Obviously, Morgan Eckroth.
World class.
And to be honest, like I always feel for the competitors because there's only one winner.
Yes.
And this is a tough competition in that there's only one winner. And it kind of, everything else kind of feels like a bit of a loss at times. But I just want to urge to everyone that is not. Getting up and competing in a competition is an extremely difficult, challenging thing to do, and you're putting yourself through it. But you're also bettering the industry.
100%.
You're learning things that you pass on to others. Others get to see and learn from, and you're representing a producer. It's a tough pill to swallow. I get it, but you are benefiting the entire industry when you do it.
I mean, you're also benefiting the people around you. Guy who came second, Jason Yeo. This was my little full synchronicity, good timing, irony included, pun intended, whatever. Jason's one of my best friends. Jason and I have been very close for a while, and we were using the exact same coffee. We were both using Benjamin Paz's darkroom dried natural geisha. Jason, he's committed to using Benjamin's coffee in competition only. He's only ever used Benjamin's coffee. So for 5 years straight, he's been standing on stage going to fight for Benjamin, which I think is the coolest thing in the world.
It's very admirable.
Right? Totally. And you're talking about doing cool things for the industry and getting out there and spreading the word. You're right? Totally. He's standing there for Benjamin, and even better, Proud Mary and St. Frank, as 2 roasters, Kevin from St. Frank and Nolan were on the same buying trip to Honduras when Nolan and Benjamin got in touch. So our 2 companies have been pushing that guy for years, and we may have helped him with his geisha lots in some way. We may have helped him with his processing and how he ferments and things of that nature. And Kevin from St. Frank has done the same thing. So I get to stand there with one of my best friends, shouting out our mutual favorite coffee, and have a moment where we're doing something cool for the industry together. And I mean, I learned so much from him because I actually watched his finals presentation and saw a whole new side to how he sees that coffee and how he feels about that coffee and his relationship with Benjamin and his story with that coffee. I have my own story with that coffee. I have my own story of, and I talk about it in my Sig Bev prep, is when I went to Honduras, I was actually in a shit of a place. I was not in a great place. I had a lot of personal stuff going on at home. The trip to Honduras was Jak, you going? And if it wasn't for Ben just sitting next to me, checking in on me, noticing that I wasn't my normal self, things like that, I wouldn't have been in the right place. He got me in the right place. So my own story means something. And then I get to watch Jason and go, oh shit, this spirals out. Yeah. And watch Morgan's story, and hear her talk about she was burnt out and she had to go away and judge and come back to the competition stage to refuel the fire. And I just got to sit there and watch all these incredible competitors and go, shit, I'm learning.
We're just on Morgan, and please don't think this takes away any of the gloss of your win.
No, dude, she's the best.
Well, I feel like it'd be an incredibly good thing for Morgan to win the World Barista Championship for all of us. Can you imagine the trajectory, the stratosphere that Morgan would go through to if that happened, but also how many more people would come through the door? Because I don't really think there's been anyone else in coffee that's quite
brought more people into the game than she has.
Yeah,
dude, 100%.
Obviously massive following, but also really good ambassadorial qualities. She's we're boys that like boxing and fighting and enjoy lots of things out of it.
Some would call us larrikin in nature.
I think Morgan's I really hope that one day Morgan does continue with the barista competition.
Dude, she has to.
Because it would be good. It would be amazing for all of us.
Yeah, she will, and she'll come back with a fire, and she'll come back better than ever. But I 100% agree. I tell her any chance I can get. It's like, she is the best ambassador for this industry as a whole, because I mean, how many people, even from Australia, are like, oh my God, like, Morgan? I'm like, yeah. And like, she's legitimately just the best intended person. You can have the world's largest platform, but she actually has that platform for what she wants to do for people.
Yes.
And that's actually a really rare thing to come across.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've all run into people who have a big platform and probably don't want to use it for the best of intent or are selfish within it. And Morgan's the best.
Well, yeah. She's come on this podcast, which is incredibly generous with her time. And when I met Morgan for the first time in Milan last year, like in person, great conversation. But again, I just think, she, a lot of people would have viewed her as the favourite going in because, she'd come second in the world previously. So, I hope Morgan sticks at it.
Oh, she will. She definitely will. She's too good not to.
So, if you became the world barista champion, so to speak...
I didn't expect to become the US barista champion.
Well, I know, but like the chance is real that you become the world barista champion.
And some would hope.
But how do you spend that? Because I just kind of like don't see you giving up doing the things that you love doing either. So, how do you work being the world barista champion in?
You got me. Yeah, how you said you were going to get me? You got me.
I got you.
I don't know how to answer that entirely, but I'll give it a crack. I don't compete for winning, because and this is a winding one, but we even said it in the car. It's like you think about like Australian or American Idol. The winner's not often
the person that's viewed.
Right?
Remember to tell
Shannon Knoll, bro. Shannon Knoll came second.
Yeah.
In America, I'm sure there's like people who came second who
Kelly Clarkson?
Right, sold the records, but
Kelly Clarkson win?
I don't know. Any Americans, can you tell us, did Kelly Clarkson win American Idol or did she come second?
Who's the most prominent non-winning American Idol contestant?
The only person that I know is Kelly Clarkson.
Kelly Clarkson.
First winner of all time. Non-winning?
Well, there was who's the guy that's the lead singer for Queen now? Adam
Lambert.
He didn't win, did he?
Did he win?
No.
Yeah, see what I mean?
Adam Lambert. Yeah.
Right, and all my favorite like dancers, musicians, whatever, they're not always the winner. Usually there's someone who's like has enough of a personality, takes a risk, does something different, does something innovative, or at least does something relatable, and then you remember them for that. So, I'd love to win. That'd be great.
But you're such a complex human.
I don't think I'm that complicated.
But, some people would view, the dancing that you do as feminine, right? Like rightly or wrongly, that's just something.
We are from Australia too, so that.
Yeah. And then there's, you're a fighter as well. So, that's obviously very masculine.
Apparently so.
And, you can probably beat the piss out of most people in the world. And
I hope I don't have to.
Yeah, I hope you never need to.
Yeah.
But it's just like you would also be like a really interesting ambassador for coffee because you're such I kind of feel like you represent, people that are into communities. You've got so many different things going on in your life, like everyone.
I think that for me, I always looked at not just coffee competition, but kind of like all the weird subgenres that I occupy, like you said, like boxing and dancing and the heavy music scene that I grew up in and things of that nature, is I've never looked up to like the popular examples in them. I never related to being, I never wanted to be known as Jak who dances or Jak who's the coffee guy. You know what I mean? I love making coffee, but it's not it's not who I am. It's just what I love to do. And I think that the platform, if I were lucky enough to become the World Barista Champion, would be mainly just so I could encourage people to be themselves and feel like they don't have to fit some mold that sometimes we feel like we have to in order to operate within either this industry or whatever other subcategory that we live within. You're an artist, right? Well, that doesn't dictate how you have to dress, how you have to walk, how you have to talk, how you have to operate. All you do is just treat people well and welcome them in, and and just be you. And I think that's kind of like one thing that I always have tried to champion within the coffee game. You don't need to be, bearded, beret, traditional tattooed barista stereotype to be here. You don't need to be anything. Just come and make delicious shit with us.
And that's really what it's all about.
That's 100%, yeah.
What would you say to because I think in doing this podcast, it's kind of opened my eyes to things that I've never really thought of before in terms of like people getting in contact with me. Like a lot of people probably ask me in person, how do you, and through messages and things like that, how do you excel in your barista career? And like it'd be a good opportunity to break this down with you because you and I have both worked at a lot of the same places.
Yeah.
And learned from the very, very best.
I would also stand on my hill and fight for that statement being one of the truest statements ever.
And,
there's some minds that have been around us who objectively were just too smart for me not to acknowledge.
Yeah. And I think, to sort of elaborate on the point, if you're someone that's trying to build your coffee career and get further ahead, climb the ranks, get better at making coffee, you really need to be in a good environment where you're able to do that. And coffee is one of these fascinating industries where if that's something you really want to do, and you might live in a location where you can't, and you're thinking about moving, coffee is one of the best industries to move forward.
100%.
And if you're listening to this podcast right now and you're thinking about making the move,
do your pilgrimage.
Because you might miss your family, you might miss your friends and fear not making more, but coffee's one of those industries where you just make friends. You go to cuppings, there's people are so connected. Like I'm in America right now, obviously I live in Australia. Every single city I've been in while I've been here, someone's been, picking me up, driving me places, showing me cool stuff. Because they want to show me their home.
Yep.
Granted, like I can amplify, that opportunity with the podcast, but I think it still relates to everyone. And
dude, I 100% agree.
And we in Melbourne, we often get people coming from overseas to come and learn. It's a massive in Melbourne, from people coming from Asia in particular to come and learn how to make coffee in Melbourne the Australian way. And I think one of the most effective things you can do rather than hand out your resume is map out where all the local cuppings are. If you want to, and go to those cuppings, connect with people. Nothing, and I mean nothing, beats rubbing shoulders with people, having dinner with them, sharing a coffee, talking about coffee. This is what you need to do. One of the best things you can do if you want to advance or go somewhere else in your coffee career.
I am going to shout out Kendrick
Lamar?
Yeah, well, that guy who's looking at us right now with his eyebrows raised. Because what you just said is exactly what he did. He was in here every day drinking coffee on his days off when he wasn't at his other job. And when we're friends with him, we know him, it's not that he spent money here. You know what I mean? Like we don't care about that. It's that we know him, we know his values, we know what he wants to put himself around, we know that he understands the culture, we know that he understands what it takes to be in an environment like this and actually wants to do it. So when he turns around one day and goes, I think I want to leave my job and try something new, it's a lot easier to say yes to that guy who sits at the bar every day and talks and hangs out with us than it is to a stranger who drops in an impressive resume. And go and do your pilgrimage. You know what I mean? Like, move to a place where there's information, where there's knowledge, where there's an abundance of it. Like, we were lucky that we were in Melbourne. Yeah. And, like, density is real, and density is why Melbourne was so rapidly improving for such a long time, because, you had your, names you mentioned before. I remember when I was at the head barista of Prouds the first time, and Ben Morrow would come in when he wasn't at St. Ali, and he would hand me a bag of coffee and go, hey, fucking try this. And, my mind would be blown, and I would hand him back a bag of coffee and tell him to try this, and we'd talk shit and exchange secrets and things that we were working on, and the rising tide lifts all boats. And then staff do the same thing. They go from place to place. They learn from person and person. They make more friends. And I mean, I don't have a podcast, and I don't have a platform. I haven't put myself out there like you have, but it's the same for me. It's like, I can't go anywhere on the planet without running into someone in coffee that I know, because I put myself in the right places to do it. Everyone's a phone call away if you have done your pilgrimage and you learnt what you learnt and you put yourself out there.
And even if you're not in the coffee industry and you're looking and you're feeling, because I think loneliness is a bit of a issue in society these
100%.
days, lack of connection, because it is pretty easy to just get bogged down on your phone and, once you go home from work, not talk to people. If you're someone that doesn't even, you don't want to get into the coffee industry, but you're looking for a community to join up, go to Cuppings in your local city. Like, it is one of the...
We have one at all of our locations on the first... That was a very loud motorcycle. On the first Monday of every month at every Proud Mary location, there's a free public cupping for just delicious shit and fun people. And it's real casual. It's real not pretentious. There's some loud slurping and it's fun.
Yeah.
Get in there and drink delicious shit and meet people.
Yep.
For sure.
And you get to try magnificent coffee as well.
Yeah.
But I think, there's a community in Melbourne called Slurps Up. So if you're
Sick
in Melbourne,
name.
or it is good. But if you're in Melbourne, I would urge you to join that. And in fact, just to double down on the point, if you're looking for a job, in a city, and you want to connect with people, go to Cuppings.
Yeah.
Look up where your Cuppings are. Sometimes there's not always the best. It's not always easy on Google and things like that. But see if you can connect with a roaster or something like that and message them, because you'd be surprised who writes back and who does. It's go to Cuppings.
I'm always a big fan of the in-person turn-up too.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of, if someone rolls in here and delivers a resume, I'm like, the effort's rewarded. That gets the first trial.
Well, but sometimes just as it is also real that can go to the bottom of the pile.
Totally,
and, things like that. But, for example, I think I mentioned him on the podcast the other day. Someone who works for me, his name's Dennis, and he's like the second in charge of my whole business now. I've been away for nearly 2 months and he's running the whole thing for me.
Ship is sailing.
He never even had worked on a coffee bar last year.
Yeah.
And one of my old friends, you might know him, Lambert Chum.
Oh yeah. Legend.
Lambert just messaged me and said, "Hey, I've got a friend who kind of wants to learn a thing or two about coffee. Would you let him come in for a dial-in?" Yep, no worries.
Let's go.
And Dennis made such an impression on me that I was like, "Do you want to?" Yeah, I'll give you. I know you got no experience, but I'll take you on. Initially, we only had him for 2 days a week, and then quickly I was like, "Yeah, come work here full time," because he's incredible. He's about to compete in the Brewers Cup. Good luck to him.
He'll kill it.
And it's just like. Again, and this is another thing, I love hiring people that don't have experience.
Oh, it's my bread and butter.
Yeah, they're just people that don't have experience. Sometimes the first month's a bit harder, but if you're seeing things long term, the thing that annoys me about the coffee industry is that you see job ads all the time that are minimum 2 years experience. Well, how the fuck are they supposed to get that if you don't if then no one's giving them experience? There's
always been, and I think, and this is my gripe, and the hole that I try and fill within the industry is there hasn't actually been that many good teachers.
Yes.
There might be good examples. There might be people that I could name and I won't name and shame, but there's definitely people that I looked up to and was like, fuck, you're incredible. But they couldn't tell me how to be as good as they were. They couldn't give me the secret. They couldn't give me the method, the source, the discipline, whatever. And I was lucky that I had really good teachers, people who looked at me and were like, okay, so you're a dancer. Yeah, all right, well, let's teach you like you're a dancer. Let's systemize, repetition, do it. And it sped up my progression massively because I wasn't just left to my own devices to fucking figure it out. And I noticed that happens in coffee so much. It's like, oh, well, this is what we do. Okay, but you haven't told me how we do it. You've just told me what we do. You haven't told me why we do it. You've just told me what we do. You haven't gotten me from A to B. You've just shown me a fucking destination with no map. And I find that we probably had more teachers in our upcoming, but I think it's unfortunately weaseling out.
Well, yeah, I think there's a talent vacuum in coffee at that upper echelon, because you get to that point where, say for example, I've got a customer at my work who used to own cafes and he absolutely loved the industry, but he's now got 2 children. He's got to think about his family. He works as a prison guard.
Yeah, shit.
And he hates it. There's things like that. Coffee, unfortunately, is not a really high-paying industry.
Oh, are you kidding? I flew here in my helicopter. What are you talking about?
But I think that's probably what makes it challenging for baristas today, because the cost of living is rising so quickly. And so for the junior baristas, I think they see a lot less hope. And if they're in a situation where their job isn't fulfilling, they're working for a jerk, there's a lot of exploitation in cafes as well. It is understandably and admittedly harder.
Yeah, it's a massively hard game to be in. And I mean, not to be that in our day kind of guy, but we also had it pretty rough in our day too.
You know
what I mean? Now you're the business owner and you absorb a lot of that labor, and your days are probably just as rough now as they may have been when you started.
In different ways.
In different ways, because your 16-hour days are to keep the business afloat, and you're not going home and jumping into a vat of money like Scrooge McDuck. You know what I mean? You've inherited all the risk. You've inherited, you've put down all the capital, you've done all of the scary shit, and you're still pulling chinos. You know what I mean? You do a lot. And when we first started, I remember when I first started, I was the perspective I had at that point in time, and maybe naive, was I am lucky to be being taught a skill that could give me a job anywhere on the planet.
That's correct.
That was how I thought about it. And I was like, I will do this 16-hour day. Please just teach me. Now, it's changed and it does get exploitative, and there's a lot that goes wrong, and I probably walked into a lot of it too myself. But I remember being willing to do that work at all times and just being nothing will really put me through worse from this moment on. I'll get through this, I'll be sweet, and then I'll be better because of it. And I don't think I've experienced rushes or conditions or moments of stress or moments of I don't know how I'm going to feed myself, or moments of, because I'm always I can go anywhere on the planet and make coffee.
Yeah.
And I can probably do it relatively easily comparatively to how I would if I hadn't have learnt off the people I'd learnt off or been in the environment I'd been in.
Exactly. And, that's the thing about the Melbourne skill set. Kind of teaches you to, and I know people probably listen to this and think, about Melbourne.
Yeah.
It's just been that way.
Well, I will say you can't entirely recreate it, because it is repetition with awareness that creates improvement. The difference between improvement and insanity is just awareness. Because if you do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, you're insane. But if you do the same thing over and over again with the awareness of a different result, you improve. Fine line, right? But I know when I moved to America, the first time in 2018, and I had to train hundreds of baristas, what I found hard was they just didn't have the opportunity to do the reps that we got in Melbourne. And in Melbourne, because you're next to someone the whole time, there's so much of that moment where you're saw that, don't do that, put your hand there, that rag, that's not folded properly, man, folding chucks, come on, I'm with you. But those teaching moments were so much more regular and frequent. Whereas in the States, it's not a dig, but they just don't make as many espresso beverages.
Well, the volume in cafes is lower.
It's lower. So their reps are lower, and you have to actually increase the awareness and increase the intention because you don't have the reps. So it's actually harder to get the muscle memory, the motor neuron mechanics, and the what happens when things set completely on fire, fight or flight response that you have trained into you. It's harder to get that with less volume.
I'm really impressed by American baristas, to be honest. A lot of them, if you're working as a barista in New York, for example, where the rent is just heinously high, and you're sticking it out because you love it.
Big respect.
We have to acknowledge that and of course show some respect, because these are people who are just doing what they love and really serving a community and kind of putting themselves through financial anguish and stress to be able to do it.
Definitely more than we did in Melbourne. I will say I made I was paycheck to paycheck for most of my life, but it is more dire here, for sure.
Yeah, it seems like the costs for everything are higher,
astronomical,
and the wage is lower for a barista. There's been a lot of discourse at the moment about how really high the minimum wage is in Australia right now, and how Australian cafes are kind of suffering because of it. But here, I'd almost rather have that situation than kind of having the situation for the staff here, where it's a lot more difficult.
Well, sometimes
and it absolutely needs to be acknowledged.
Yeah, and like I think any barista who's sticking it out in such a harsh environment is clearly doing it for the love of the fucking game, like we said earlier, and it definitely needs to be commended. And I think that is actually reflective also in the competition scene, like we were talking about earlier. Like, man, I could list 12 of those competitors who are all killers, and so good. And I know the environments they work in too. Yeah, I mean, I know some of them personally and what they've put themselves through to stay in this game. Yeah, when we may have the opportunity to leave. So good. Big shout out, because it is definitely a hard grind out in the States being a barista, for sure.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Not to sound like I'm like moving off the topic.
No, it's your show, dog. I'm just in it.
I do feel for the baristas here, and just to offer my encouragement, keep going. If don't do anything that puts you in a financially dire situation, but I tip my hat to him.
Big time.
But I want to move on to the to when you do go to the World Barista Championship this year in Panama.
Yes.
It's a big thing to sort of have to travel with all your equipment and things like that. Do you feel that stress? Like, how do you think you'll prepare now?
This is something that I've worked on now over 2 seasons, because I obviously competed in Melbourne twice and was like, oh, fuck, you just drive to the venue. Like, you're all good. Like, you just pack your stuff in the car, you're good. And then when I competed at the regionals, I was like, all right, well, Kansas City's an 11-hour drive away. Okay, same thing, I can just drive it. And then it started getting further, had to fly. And, me and Niall, who is the genius behind getting me anywhere, he's my handler for competition entirely. I have a very big team of CJ and Niall. That's literally it. They're literally the 2 people who make this happen for me. Obviously, Proud Mary back everything, but I do all the prep and all the stuff on my own, and then CJ and Niall turn up when it's time to execute, and they are the ones who fully handle the stuff that I can't. They're geniuses. They're freaky, and they deserve all the love. My cart was set up half an hour after I got off stage. I would get off stage and my cart was reset, repolished, ready to go. So that's freaky. But Niall is our green buyer. So when it comes to logistics, the man is a genius. And he's already on top of how are we going to get this to Panama? How are we going to get this here? What are we going to travel with? And I think as much as you can be prepared, you're still going to get hit with shit that you can't be prepared for. I'm anticipating having to travel around and try and find dairy that I don't hate. I'm anticipating having to get there and find somewhere where I can start tasting the coffee again and again and again, because it's at sea level, water composition's different. No matter how much I try and replicate it, it's not going to be exactly the same in the roastery. I'm anticipating there to be a lot of stuff that I can't have a contingency for. So I'll make sure I do what I did this time, and I'll go early, maybe a whole week early, so I can gather the stuff that is local to the area and at least taste it, feel it, touch it, smell it, see what I can make work with it. I'm actually going to be pretty strategic about my stage setup and about my equipment choices and what I do, because I believe I can get away with executing my theme better with less. So I'm not going to give away the sauce yet.
A couple of snippets.
But I actually think there might be an opportunity for me to travel light and be more effective and more impactful. So I will be thinking about that when it comes to the logistics as well. Yeah,
I'm excited, man. And,
thank you, dude.
This is going to be a really cool World Barista Championship. As we're recording right now, the World Brewers Cup is going.
It is. Go Simon. Let's go.
The Aussie, representing Australia, is in the final. So hopefully by the time this is over, they're announcing him as the winner.
That's it.
I hope that's my biased Australian coming out in me. So I don't know. I love the competition scene. I love how strong it's getting.
Dude,
and where it's going. And I hope that it's only good things to come. And you've got your work cut out for you, because
I really do.
There's a lot of really good competitors.
There's some heat.
Our guy from Australia, Gab, he's been coming second to Jak for years now, and he's ready to take that next step. He's
100%.
He's experienced. He's competent. he's got a really good team behind him. So, yeah, you got your work cut out for you.
I know I do, but again, it's me against the score sheet, not me against me against him.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, we're friends, dude.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
and he's
you know what I mean?
great.
He's,
Yeah.
he's a legend. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's there's bound to be dozens of people that are from other countries that are also super super polished and good.
Yeah.
And the level of professionalism, it seems to just be growing every year.
Well, if there's one thing I will say that is a bit like tagging off some things that we were talking about earlier, is I walked in on Thursday of the Nationals, and it was brand new equipment that no one had used before in the Nationals. Normally there's like a few years where you get the same equipment, but they obviously had contract, sponsored change, things of that nature. And everyone was on brand new equipment. A lot of people didn't have the grinders that normally would have it. Big change. Really, really like different feeling Nationals. And I remember I walked in and I said to Siege and Niall, I was watching a lot of people go overtime. It was a record amount in the Nationals of people go overtime. I went overtime in round one, right? And ironic when doing a theme about time, and I go overtime. What an idiot, right? And I remember looking at them and saying, this will come down to who can adapt. Because there's so much out of our control. And I think the one thing that I will never lose, and I will always try and keep as my strength and not let be my weakness, is there is so much preparation you can do. There is so much polish you can have. There is so much regimented predictability that you can account for. But shit happens. Coffee doesn't like us. It argues with us constantly.
Yep.
Metal heats up. It expands, it contracts. Temperature changes. The clock malfunctions. Do you know what I mean? There's so much that we're not in control of. The only things we are in control of is this, and our body. And I think that my strength has always been, I know that. I did a different routine every day. Literally, I don't have a script.
So you don't roll with a script at all?
No.
And you just have that natural speaking ability?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, maybe. But it's exactly the same way I train as a dancer. Is a cha-cha basic is a cha-cha basic. And I have spent 6 hours a day doing that basic. Now, think of it this way. You can remove, purge, wipe, knock, wipe, swap hands. You can do espresso making choreography. And it doesn't matter whether it's on your machine, because you've done that skill, that basic 3,000 times. So you can take it anywhere with you. I think that has always been my focus in the competition space, is treat it just like my dancing. My basics are my basics, my skills are my skills. Everything I do is a variation of that basic and that skill. When it happens, may not be the same.
Do you think that, you're talking about choreography and applying it again to your dancing, the footwork required for that, to boxing, timing is everything,
Timing is everything.
Punching, footwork, all these sort of things. Do you think those elements of that assist you with the competition and making coffee in general?
Yeah, because I think it allows me to be more present with people.
Yeah.
Because I've done the physical actions and I'm able to intake information while I'm putting it out. But if I'm just like, oh, that didn't go to plan, oh, that wasn't in my script, or oh, my shots didn't run away, or oh, this it's 12:36 and I haven't gotten this done, it's like, well, I need to be able to adapt and change and do different things within that time. And I definitely think that dancing has made that something that I can do.
Look, we've been going for nearly an hour now, so we'll wrap up soon. But two things before we do.
Hit me.
One of them, I'm just going to... You stay there.
All right, I'm here.
See,
I'm scared.
I gave mine away to Christopher Hendon when I was in Boston, but such is life with our sponsor, Apex Lab.
Let's go.
They're everywhere. You're just chilling with them at Proud Mary.
Also, come on, Simon.
Everyone in the world makes the sponsor read for this podcast so easy because, once again, Apex Lab. Kirk, 2026, if you want 10% off.
I want 10% off.
Well, I mean,
thanks for the proud spruik on that one.
Well, go to the apaxlab.com.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's cool. Everyone seems to have them across the world. Makes my job really easy.
Especially when you come here and do a pop-up and you need water that you want.
I feel like he's changed the game
100%.
With water, and he's obviously such a. I think it's good to see him at the very top of the world. He's in the top 6 of the World Brewers Cup now, and knows a thing or two about water and
just a little, right?
And, an unbelievable coffee professional. Like if you watch Simon Gawther and the way he I admire him a lot for everything outside of water and coffee, because I watch him the way he organises things. For example, I'm a badly organised person, and I look at his phone. He's got his calendar set up for months in advance.
Yeah, that's wild.
He's whacked with it. He understands all the apps and how to use technology so well. I admire the guy so well. Like, he's just one of those high performing humans in everything that he does. Unbelievable with his Pokemon card dealing as well.
Oh, that's sick.
He's been buying Pokemon cards from a young age and pitching to his family, hey, this is a smart investment, from like 10 years old.
That is good law, though. That is fantastic law to know. I had no idea. That's fucking cool.
I don't know if I'm endangering him by saying this.
Nah.
He's got quite the Pokemon card.
No, you just upped his popularity, man, for sure. You just did a service.
I don't know. I'll just be so happy if he wins the Brewers Cup.
Yeah, same. And he's earned it.
He's someone that deserves it so much, and if you want to support him, buy some Apex Lab. It's good shit. Everyone's got it. We use it at Prouds. I used it today for the pop-up.
Let's go.
You wouldn't go to war without a weapon.
Absolutely not.
So Apex Lab.
Apex.
That's the sponsor brand. We'll wrap it up in a moment. I just wonder, do you have a question for Ye or Kirk? This is kind of like my closing tradition now. You ask me
a question for Kirk. I got 2. As an Australian, watching what happened with me, what the fuck was going through your head?
Well,
because I've had a few fellow Australians contact me with their thoughts, and I mean, for me, just where do I sit in all this? I want to know, what was your thoughts when watching on Sunday and watching me stand up there? Like, what was going through your head?
Well, there's a lot of things, and I'm gonna be brutally honest with you.
That's what I want.
There's a lot of things that I watch. I'm like, I wouldn't advise you do that in a barista competition.
100%.
And because you're communicating with people in the crowd while you're doing it, and it's like it's contrary to what I think the barista competition usually is. But I think as on the other side of that, I got to give a shout out to the American judges for embracing it.
Me too.
Clearly, you made the best coffee on the day.
I tried.
And then, but you're also if you're wondering what I'm talking about, go and watch Jak Michael Ryan US Barista Championship final.
Crucify me in the comments.
You were having fun up there.
I was.
And I think a lot of people are so serious about it, and I feel like you really enjoy the process of competing, but you made it seem so fun. I don't know if you should. I feel like you should maybe dial it back a touch with some of that stuff when you're at the Worlds, but but also you got to do you, because you being you got you here.
It's a hard needle to thread.
So, I was sitting there, I was like, no fucking way.
That's what I was thinking too.
It was pretty sick.
Sick.
Because obviously you messaged me the day before. I tried to come to Denver.
Yeah, I didn't know where you were. I was like, you're here. Come and hang out.
I was landing in Nashville, and I looked at the flights, and I would have got there after the announcements. So
I wanted you to come and taste in the morning, dog. I wanted you at my table.
Couldn't have got that.
I wanted you to wrap your mouth around that coffee and be a part of my tasting team.
Well, I couldn't have got there, but hey, it looks like you had it sorted.
Oh man, you're here now. All right, so my second one is, I'm obviously a very big fan of the fact that you are very happy to try new shit and just fucking press full send on anything. You don't wait. You don't try and roll the tumbleweed around in your head for anything. And I jokingly co-ferment Kirk, famously at odds about that. I am all I'm a no steroid sort of coffee guy, but I fucking love your business model. Do you know what I mean? I am a big fan of everything that you do. My preference is not my principle. They're different things. But pre-batch espresso, I know it's the hottest button topic in the fucking world. I know everyone's hammering at your door about it, and I obviously am a really big fan. I have been playing with it since 2014, leaving shots aside, pouring takeaways in. They taste incredible. Dissipated cremas, if not, better. But what has been personally, not just business-wise, or internet perception-wise, because clearly you get crucified in the comments, like we all know. What's been personally the hardest thing to deal with around being that forward-thinking, innovative, and just having the stones to do it?
That's a really good question.
I told you I'd get you too.
Yeah. I'm someone that has, I can't even sit down and have a proper conversation with my girlfriend a lot of the time because I'm thinking about coffee. I can't sit down and be normal because I'm like, when my head hits the pillow, it's not, I'm exhausted, I can't be bothered working anymore. When my head hits the pillow, I'm like, fuck yeah, I get to go do it all again tomorrow.
Sick.
But like do it again differently.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've been through things in my life where none of this shit really matters.
Yeah, 100%.
Comparatively, none of I think, something I've spoken about on the podcast before is like my mum passing away, and she had a condition, she had dementia, 10-year condition where it's like, when your mum forgets your own name,
yes,
and you go through that, like, nothing really hurts you up to that.
Yeah.
And so none of it really gets to me on a personal level. It's actually an enormous privilege that I feel that I get to, one, enjoy my job, but two, I'm in a position where I can sort of sacrifice a little bit. Like it's not a windfall operation that I run, but I can throw some resources at something, maybe have it land, maybe have it fail. And that's an incredibly fortunate position to be in, actually, I feel like. So I don't really have much to complain about in my life anymore.
Fuck yeah.
And it's like in the last 6 months, I'm finally in a position where in my life where, I've worked so hard. I've come back from, financial oblivion and got back to where I am now. And, I can actually sit down and be proud of myself and looking back on.
Well, we're proud of you.
Well, I appreciate it.
100%, man.
It's nice to, kind of be asked this as well. Like I feel I count my lucky stars. I'm in this industry every day. It's so fun. We all sacrifice money being in the coffee industry.
You don't say.
And it's like it's that's just goes with it. But I feel incredibly fortunate to do this. And the biggest challenge with the pre-batch thing, I guess, if I'm to hone in on that, is like finding its true purpose. I think.
Yeah.
Like it's a response to conditions in Australia where cafes are really not that profitable. Less so than America. Far less so than America.
It's a Sisyphean feat.
Yeah, and I really worry for the future of the Australian specialty coffee industry.
Me too.
Because you would see it from here. I was talking to someone yesterday, 2 days ago in Houston, the owner of Roastronics.
Yeah.
I told him what I pay for electricity at my cafe for a quarter, and I think the last quarter was $6,000 or $7,000, and $6,000 or $7,000 for a quarter. He said, "I don't even pay that, and I run an entire factory, air-conditioned 24/7, and electric roasters." So like that's just the costs of
incomprehensible.
It's crazy, and then you think about the wages in Australia, which are about to go up by quite a bit. I really fear for the future of the Australian specialty coffee industry. It's not really consumers' fault. It's not cafe operators' fault either. It's just the world, like the economic conditions in that country are really hurting small business. Coffee especially so.
It's dire.
And restaurants have really been suffering in Australia, but in coming here, I actually think the future of Australian coffee is far more American, in the sense it's like there's going to be independent businesses can't compete against the Starbucks who have the purchasing power to buy greater goods, and they charge effectively the same as well, and they can compete for a lease and things like that. I just think the golden years are sadly over for Melbourne specialty coffee unless something significant changes, and I'm not overly optimistic that will happen.
So that would imply that you have found what you believe to be the purpose for pre-batched espresso.
Yeah.
That's what I'm sensing.
Well, it's like, I don't know if it's really the answer for everything.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, if economically speaking, it can improve your operation. You can get started at a lower cost. You can be more mobile. There's a lot of benefits to it. And I don't want to sit here and toot my own horn and saying, like, this will save you.
I'll toot it. It's a good idea.
I think it is.
It is, yeah.
I really worry for Australian specialty coffee, unless something really turns around in the country. And that's not, I don't want to be one of those Australia haters, because there's a lot of those Instagram Australia haters. It is an amazing country that's done amazing things, and I'm so lucky I got to grow up there, and you can still have a perfectly good.
We had an entirely Australian playlist for our pop-up today. Come on, man.
Yeah, like, I'm super proud. I'm super proud to be Australian, but I'm not optimistic for the future of Australian specialty coffee, to be honest. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just think the future of it means there's going to be far less independence. There's going to be far less. There'll be more of your sort of specialty businesses that have 20 locations or
your groups and your conglomerates.
Yeah, I just don't think. I think the independent coffee shop will be largely a thing of the past in 10 years from now.
Sad times.
It is, but it's just the way the world's going.
It is.
It's like the wealth is being concentrated in far, far smaller areas, and I just hope, I think the experiential thing will be rewarded. I think, those higher end coffee experiences, strangely enough, will actually be more and more popular into the future.
They'll exist forever.
But I think I don't know if coffee's really something we're meant to have every day. Like we've had it as such a luxury in Australia. It's like, you drink 2 a day, you go to your coffee shop on your lunch break. Maybe, given that we don't pay producers as much and baristas don't always earn a livable wage, maybe it's not meant to be a daily drink. Maybe it's not meant to be this ritualistic thing. Like, we think of it as that.
I've never pondered that. But that's a whole new podcast.
It is, but it's not a human right.
No.
It's a privilege.
It is 100% a privilege.
And for a lot of people, I just don't think it's going to be that into the future if we don't change the economics around coffee. Climate change is also already rearing its head. That weather patterns are changing significantly at origin, and harvest times as well.
Oh, everything's changing.
And so unless some of these things turn around, which I don't really have the answer for, I think we're looking at a very different coffee industry. Look at it the way it is now and the way it was 10 years ago. Like, how much things change.
Night and day. I don't know how you're operating in Melbourne. Like, if I was wearing a hat, I'd take it off. I'd put one on to take it off, because I am truly in awe of how you're operating in Melbourne at the success you are. It is admirable, and whatever it is that you're doing, maybe others can learn from it.
Challenges too, like the Flinders Street store that's just opened, the pre-batch one. It's been it's been tough, because within a few weeks of opening, the landlord of the place erected scaffolding all around it. I
was there. I was there like 2 days after you opened, I think.
It's like a construction site at the front where they're just jackhammering the footpath, and
it was pretty noisy.
Yeah, and it stops people coming in.
I had to walk past 3 times to try and find it.
And that's been there for 3 months.
Yeah.
And so now we've got to kind of reopen. It feels like we're reopening again. And so it's not been like the best start, to be honest. Like, we've got this really amazing concept where I think the coffee tastes fantastic.
It does rip.
You've been there and you tried it.
No, fucking rips.
That's the United States Barista Champion.
He makes killer shit.
But like, it's not just everything I mentioned earlier. It's things like this, these random things that just pop up, and there's no form of recourse for coffee shop owners if the road's getting dug up or someone's jackhammering out the front.
No, we experienced something similar here too. Like, we had roadworks out here that lasted 3 months. That we already don't have a sign. We're already like one of those subliminal businesses that you have to look for, and it just made it so much harder and so much more inaccessible for people to get in the door. Having to drive back and forth, try and find out how to get in. I mean, I can't imagine a Melbourne that's a walkable city having to walk back and forth to try and even spot where you are, or dodge the jackhammers or the the less than reputable characters that might be around Flinders Street Station at any given time of the day.
And sorry, I'm extending the podcast here a little bit.
Hit me.
I think compliance is something that has really hurt the specialty coffee industry or hospitality industry in Australia, like the lack of compliance.
Yeah.
You remember the George Columbaris thing where
I do.
a professional chef was kind of ousted for having underpaid his staff and stuff like that. And that was the whole industry.
Yep.
That was the whole industry. And I think in response to that, the industry did become compliant with wage costs and all those sort of things. And so a lot of people could never actually afford to be in business in the first place. And don't forget, we're living in a high regulatory jurisdiction in Australia where, you know, for me to get a sign out the front, I have to do a 3-month application to get a sign installed out the front.
Yeah, no.
It's just nuts. And then the taxes are extremely high, and there's just
I don't miss that.
Yeah, it's just like even like you get tax. You like probably live a little bit. Yeah, Evan Backstabber.
I can explain this very quickly.
Go on.
I make infinitely less money here than I ever made in Melbourne in terms of actual salary, and I have saved more money living in Texas than I ever could have saved living in Melbourne.
Because it's a no state
I got a
income tax.
13% raise because there's no state income tax. You're paying federal tax and federal tax alone. So, like, obviously I hustle, as you said earlier. I teach dance every night. I get home at 1 a.m. and start all over again. And, I wake up, like, ready to go. But it can be done. You know what I mean? Like, I've somewhat formed a better life for myself just based on the fact that I had the chance to, and I felt like for a while actually Melbourne was kind of taking that chance away from me. And it hurts to admit because I love that place so much, but you're right, everything that you're saying led into the fact that, like, I'd end the end of the week and I was like, cool, got to get paid next week to eat, so it's rough there too, man.
But it's just,
the world is rough.
But people will clap back at us for having this conversation, but it's like, we
don't have the answers. We're just pondering.
But it's a real situation, and I think Melburnians have to get comfortable with the fact that you're not going to have this coffee culture for too much longer if things keep going the way they're going.
Well, I mean, we could, again, extend the pod and talk about how I personally think the coffee culture isn't what it was. It's not. It's not the same as it was 10 years ago. I think people aren't buying what they used to buy. People are charging more than what they used to charge for less than what they used to buy. Yes. There's a lot of that going on, and I'm not going to name names and cast stones and aspersions, but it is happening.
Well, I think there's been this kind of roasters of kind of in order to be able to compete, and this is kind of what happens when there's a high level of competition, extremely high, too high. Is that
and the economic stresses that we were talking about just before. They pen in hand.
But I feel like a lot of coffee companies, they're effectively spending the same amount of money on green coffee that they were 5 or 6 years ago, but that actually gets you significantly lower quality. And in an international marketplace where you're purchasing green coffee in US dollars, and the currency has up until recently been really poor, and it's still pretty bad, it's below average, and then you've had the commodity coffee price doing what it's been doing, it's really hurt Australian coffee
massively.
And I think you see it in the cafes, the quality is lower than it was years ago.
I don't really want to out it too much, but you're right. And I experienced it recently going home. I felt that and tasted that.
And so, but you also risk talent leakage as well. Like
100%.
Someone like yourself, you committed an enormous amount to Melbourne coffee. Now you live over here, so like it's.
I'm having fun though.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you moved for reasons other than that. But I think in seeing George Howe recently, he just had this relentless pursuit of quality.
Bro, that has always been my favorite coffee experience in the States. I remember when I went to Boston the first time and sat down at George Howe, and everything I got was just banger after banger after banger, and I've never had a miss with that company. Like, I would fly to Boston just to drink it. Like, it's that good.
I want to throw something out to you, actually.
Hit me.
We said we were going to wrap up. We
can talk shit forever.
Stuff here. I feel like the cold fermentification of coffee is really just pissing me off. Like, I dabble, I do it a little bit here and there, but I feel like the formula now for a Melbourne cafe to succeed is not having an excellent coffee program and having this excellent staff culture and stuff like that. It's having a viral cold foam.
That's I said this. Here you go. I think I'm not going to let you get away with it. You wrote it down, and I know you're going to use it later, so I'm taking credit for it because it's mine.
Okay.
Marketing has replaced mastery.
Oh, yes.
Tell me I'm wrong.
No, explain it. Down the barrel.
So modern hip-hop isn't what it used to be. Lyricism is gone. Whatever you can market is popular. Movies are not the same quality that they used to be. Whatever you can market is the thing. I believe dancing has suffered a dip. I believe a lot of things, boxing in general, the quality of fighters. I mean, I honestly don't believe it was what it was in the 90s.
No,
right?
Definitely not.
You had a higher caliber, a higher quality because you weren't focused on trying to get famous. You were focused on trying to get good. And a byproduct of being good maybe was famous. Whereas now the focus is famous and good doesn't really equate. There are a lot of beverages I've seen out there that look amazing on Instagram that I personally just think taste like shit. But I think there's this weird mass psychosis that everyone goes into where they can take the photo, they can have it, it looks pretty, and they convince themselves they like it.
And
I honestly believe that.
It's not really a sustainable business model either, because these people jump on trends and go to the next one. It's not like they're 100% loyal to you.
Big shout out. I actually had this conversation with an internal Proud Mary good friend, and I was talking about how we've never really done that. We have a pretty cool variation of a Mont Blanc right now. We have, we had a pretty cool variation of another beverage, but we're always going to stick to, can we do the best possible fucking version of something that we want to stand by? Virality has never really been what we've chased. We've never really been let's create the next viral Sig Bev. It's not our steez. We tell the story of farmers. That's our steez. But I was having this conversation about how big shout out to Prouds in general for sticking to our guns, because when I think about Portland, it's been there since 2017 and it is steady. Melbourne is actually having some of its most success that it's had in a long time currently, and that is attributed to consistency
and quality.
But quality is not subjective, right? I don't like some of the things you serve. I don't like the co-ferments. But I cannot and will not knock its quality. It is objectively quality stuff. Quality is not subjective. It is completely objective. You might not like a specific movie, but is it one of the best of all time? Did it influence the most people? It's objective completely. And I think that I was explaining that Portland, Melbourne, and now Austin, quality is what you said. But quality and consistency, because let's face it, cappuccinos never going out of fashion. Lattes never going out of fashion. Black coffee, drip coffee, filter coffee, whatever. You could have viral matcha drink and it's 100% cool and it's going to help your business, and if it's your model, absolutely go for it. But there's still the people who will always come back to, I want a nice latte.
Yeah.
The classics are the classics.
One thing that really annoys me about it as well is the level of copying and thievery as well. Someone will work really hard to make this, there's this drink called the Tiger Bomb in Melbourne. And
is it Caleb's?
Caleb Char.
Legend.
And it's a really amazing drink.
I mean, it shows you how much I know. I just heard Tiger was
it's
Caleb.
It's known internationally, and they do really well.
Sick.
It's one of the few that I've had where it's that's actually incredible.
And he deserves it.
But there's another cafe that's opened recently that's pretty much copy and pasted the exact same thing and gone viral. I'm just you haven't earned that.
No.
And I get it, you don't have IP on a drink, on cream foam with citrus in a cup with coffee, but it's a blatant copy and paste.
Yep.
And I just think, and it goes viral, and it's everything that annoys me about the coffee industry today. It's less being genuine and more
Marketing has
copy and
replaced
paste.
mastery.
Like it's just this TikTokification and cream foamification of the coffee industry it pisses me off, and I hope it goes away sometime soon.
I will give my statement of it makes my piss boil.
Yes.
I hate it.
Yeah.
But again, it ties deeply back into that. I'm just allergic to the whole marketing thing.
Yeah.
Like if you're good at what you do, I love it, respect it, but please focus on the actual the craft. And as well, focus on getting good at what you do. I've never watched my competitors.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I just focus on myself.
Yeah.
You know?
And look, this is I'm gonna go a bit spicy here.
Let's go.
Right? If you're like a coffee or like a foodie influencer reviewer, you're not that talented. You're not that remarkable. You're not doing something overly good for the world. Like you're going, and I just see it so much where these people, they leave savage reviews, or they say something in their content that may hurt a business. Like, and they've never worked a day in a hospitality business in their life. It's like some uni student that's like, I'll do this, and you'll go and slander a business and go make out like you're some food critic, which is a bullshit profession in and of itself.
Fucking
like, go out and try things yourself. Like, just don't fall for this gullible shit. Like, there's content creators in the food realm that I do like, I do follow, and I trust their word because they're genuine.
But they probably have integrity.
There's just a whole bunch of people that think they're doing God's work when you're not. Like,
but
you're just not. You're
the
not.
food
you're
creators
not talented,
that you like.
You're not overly remarkable. You're not contributing to the industry in any way. Shut the fuck up.
I second that. I'm actually very Team Kirk on this. Fucking A. I'm co-ferment Kirk on this one for sure. The king of controversy, as I've dubbed him this week. But the creators that you like, why do you like them? My guess is that they have integrity. My guess is that they're either tactful about what they do, or they're trying to actually big someone up as opposed to just tearing them fucking down for their own validation.
Well there's one example.
That's my assumption.
I'll give you an example. There's a guy called Bag and Sangers in Melbourne.
Sick name.
Bald guy, Ross, and he did a review. He's like particularly into cinnamon scrolls, and he did one for
Niche.
Officer Coffee, which is owned by our mutual friend
Big represent.
Leon Holdsworth and Fabian as well.
The best cheens. Go and get yourself a Domi Chino from Officer if you're ever in Coburg or in Melbourne in general. Travel to it.
And he properly noticed that, he's like, this is some of the best coffee I've ever had. And it was like, well, yeah, it's made by Leon Holdsworth, who's one of the 4 horsemen of Melbourne specialty coffee.
And shout out to Dan fucking Dick.
Dan Dick as well.
Dan Dick, born and raised.
But he did something good for a business where once he did that, a lot of customers went there, and that was an example of something positive that a former professional baker did.
Hands down.
He's got experience in the game. I don't want to see this Melbourne University student getting a matcha, and if it's not as sweet as you like, or it didn't have the bloody, I don't know, cold foam that you want, you got to go say something about a business. I just can't stand these people, and they're insufferable and they're talentless.
Well, they're again, marketing has replaced mastery. They're trying to tear other people down to cause clicks, stirs, virality, something that makes them not have to work hard at anything to gain a response.
And I'm not knocking content creators. I'm a content creator, but I'm in coffee where I've got a fair few expertise.
I also say that you don't create. I don't watch people who create content. I watch people who create value. And I've never I know you well enough to know you as a human, but you're not just putting shit out for the sake of putting shit out. You get on interesting. I'm not interesting, but everyone else you get on is
I'd say you're interesting.
I'm not, but everyone else you get on, I will click and go, oh, I definitely got to hear what this person's got to say.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that Kirk's going to draw something out of this person. You create value. And I think the word content itself describes what, so much of just what is out there. It's content. Content doesn't have meaning. Content doesn't have value. When you open a handbag, there's contents within it. Now, maybe one of those two things is sentimental value or fucking use. Content doesn't mean anything. Value means something.
But content is, and as it relates to Instagram and TikTok, it's part of everyday life now, and that's not changing.
No.
So, but Yeah, I hate to like be negative like that, but it's just something I want to see a lot less of.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you're not necessarily, I mean, you're not being negative, you're passionate and you want good things for people in the industry. So when you see something that you think is driving it down, tearing people down, driving it backwards, making it harder for people to grow and advance, it pisses you off.
Yeah, it does.
It does the same thing to me. I mean, that's probably why, people could perceive me as being like brash or saying what I fucking think or whatever, or being, only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Oh, yeah.
See, got another one. But that is I'll get them all. Like, it is because I'm so passionate and I care. Like, getting into coffee was hard. We had to struggle to find information. We had to struggle to get it. We had to struggle to, there was no internet. And honestly, now sometimes I think the internet makes it even fucking harder to sort out what's truth, what's not, what's applicable, what isn't. We had to struggle to get it. And people like you and I, you do this podcast because you want it to be easier for people to find the path and find the way. And I think people who focus on content don't do that. They don't. They're just looking for the gain for themselves and they're not really putting anything out there. So I think that's a very distinct difference. So you say like, oh, when I do content, I'm like, well, you do, but like you kind of don't. You create value and you want to do cool shit. I know how much time, energy, effort you put into this pod, not with the expectation of receiving a fucking dollar for it. Or not.
This cost me money.
I know. Right. I mean, like, you also flew here in your helicopter with me. Like, exactly. But like, I know that this is a labor of love, just like your entire coffee career has been. Whereas someone who is trying to tear someone down or creating that next viral beverage or copying the person next to them, they don't have that same intent that you do. And you're allowed to be pissed off when you see it. Because if there's not people who are pissed off when they see it, what changes?
Yeah.
Nothing.
It's just something I want to see a lot less. But anyway, we've been trying to wrap this podcast up for like 45 minutes now. It must be.
We could talk shit.
Have we been going for like 2 hours? How long has it been? Just about 2 hours?
Coleslaw and Kendrick keeping time. Should I say? Time.
Well, get these guys in. Can you come back in the shot here? I want you to.
These guys deserve a shout out.
I want the world to see who's been. So Kendrick, we shouted out before, been massive help in the podcast.
Kendrick might be the one of the most hospitable baristas.
I don't
we
know if
have.
you're in the shot there, but come in. So these guys have been helping out.
Coleslaw creates the sexiest content, not content, sexiest value.
Yeah.
All of the video he shoots and all of the stuff he does for Proud Mary is rip snorter, and he's your man.
Well, yeah, just wanted to say thanks to you guys for making my time in Austin so far so amazing.
We love you, man.
Thanks to Nolan for being so hospitable and the.
I think you're staying at his house tonight, by the way. I think I secured you a full house to yourself.
Excellent.
Yeah, let's go.
That sounds pretty awesome.
I mean, I'd rather you stay on my couch, but
Yeah, we'll work it out. We're going to go watch Big Hero 6.
Let's do it.
Really excited for that. It's going to be awesome. But yeah, this is an incredible place. We're also going to go shoot a machine gun tomorrow.
We're going to do some big America shit. Some weird America shit.
We're going to do some America. Fuck yeah. All right, well, let's wrap the podcast up there because that's a good one. But hello, everyone. Thank you. You can either listen to the third Oatly ad of the day about how you can go to oatly.com and find recipes for the amazing drinks, or read the Future of Taste report. It's from the future. Or learn about the sustainability work. Or you can press the 15-sec forward button on your Podblank device. It's totally up to you.